Peace, peace, peace. This is your sister Rue coming to you from the beautiful upstate New York, Hudson Valley, Mama Lisa Temple, and we are here with the gorgeous, talented, multifaceted Gemini. And how fitting, because we are coming to the end of the Gemini season. So this sister is here to close us out on our topic that we've been covering in the healing chambers, which is communication in our bodies and different ways of doing that, alternative ways to conventional medicine. So Sister Gemini is going to talk to us about crystals and gems. We know how much we love those. So let me just get right into it. I'm going to allow Gemini to tell us a little bit about herself and her journey towards being in all things gems. Everybody, this is my dear sister, Gemini.
Peace. How is everybody doing today? Fantastic, I hope. Thank you for having me. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm so grateful and excited. I'm gonna work on some stuff while we have our dialogue. I got a few small things, but crystals, gemstones, minerals, metals, just all those elements, those earth elements, right? They keep us connected and grounded. And it's not that they give us something that we don't have, because everything that the stones have, we have, but it's an add-on. It's an add-on and it's electric. And where should we start?
Well, you know what? Let me just say, show me a Gemini that always is not multitasking, and I will show you a Gemini that's not true to who they are. So if you didn't sit here and work on your jewelry as we do it, you know, my sister Majay, I don't know if you remember the sister Majay, she has vending tables there in the city. She sits and makes jewelry right there while she's talking to you. It is amazing. I'm in such awe of people that can do what you do. So why don't we start there? How did you find your way to crystals and gems?
When I was little, I used to, I was like a little ruffian, run around, picking up rocks and playing with stuff like that out and being wild. You know how children are. But I used to collect stones. And then when I got older, they came back into my life, and I had the awareness to seek understanding, to see like, what's this for? What does this stone do? And one day I already had crystals. I already had a nice little collection. I was using them for like moon magic and different spell work and rituals and just energy work in general, right? And a lady at my job, she had on a copper wrap necklace. And I thought that I had never seen a copper wrap necklace. So I said, where'd you get that from? And she was like, oh, I got it from so-and-so. I was like, that's nice. So she came in a couple of weeks later, and she had one that was like 2 stones in one. And I said, where'd you get that from? She was like, oh, so-and-so made it. I said, how much did you pay for it? I was in the early processes of awakening, right? So I'm like, it's a market for that? So she was like, yeah, I had no idea. So I had some copper at home and some crystals at home, because I'm always making something. And I said, I can do that. And I went home and I started working with the stones and the metal. And then I, of course, hopped on YouTube University to see what they had for like the basics, just to have an understanding of how to get the stone and make sure it's secure and things like that. But the crystals came into my life at a very pivotal time. I had just started walking out of the fear of no longer being in organized religion, no longer being a Christian specifically. And they felt good to my spirit. They felt good to my soul. And it gave me a tangible reminder of the strength that is needed to speak your truth and stand in your truth and walk this walk. So I'm extra grateful. And they protect me from so many people, places, and things, because you just never, I'm so big on protection right now. Let me show you what I make. Ancestors been telling me protection. This is a black salt. I wish I had my phone, but it's a black salt, and I make it, and it's good for like heavy protection. I make a protection circle around my house with it, and around my altar with it. And I put it, just to, and it's crystals in here. That's why I pulled it out. It's crystals in here. It's black tourmaline in here. It's pink Himalayan salt in here. It's regular iodized salt in there. It's all kinds of magic, because that's what the earth gives us.
Yes. Well, I hear you say that, you were already at a job stage. So I'm not thinking you were a small person when you came into this. When you were young and you were collecting these rocks, was that something that was encouraged? Or were you discouraged because of the fact that you were in a home that practiced organized religion?
No, it was okay for me to have the rocks, but not like in a magical way, so to speak. You know what I mean? More like in a geological way. But that was good because I learned like the Morse hardness of stones and different types of stones, because it's quartz, we got granite, we got mica, we have so many different minerals out here. So that was good. I learned it more geologically than magically in the beginning.
Okay. That's wonderful. And in your walk out of Christianity into a more open spiritual practice, the crystals and gems in that, is that where you would say it began for you?
Yes. Because I was because I kind of was tiptoeing away. I had felt the need to keep my spiritual curiosities to myself. So it was just me. So I did a lot of reading, and almost every book I read has something about crystals in it. Something about crystals, something about using them in a mojo bag, using them for energy healing, using them for protection, using them for return to sender, using them for attraction. So yeah, then I knew that was like one of those pieces that you put together. Oh, so when I was 9 and I had all that quartz, that's what it was about.
That's what it was about. Absolutely. I brought some of my things to share with you too. I have quite the collection. I've been collecting for like 30 some odd years. And so I am dating myself, but I will let you know I have some beauties. This is one of my raw quartz crystals. It is definitely one of those pieces that, yes, I usually end up having in the bed. My husband used to have a running joke back in the day. He was like, shake anything she has and a crystal or gem will fall out of it.
Yes.
So that is definitely something I understand. And I just want to tap on something for a second, if I may. Moving forward, when we do the comparative religion piece, I would love to have you back, because it talks about crystals and gems in the Bible, in the breastplate. And so we use that information and we share a little bit more about what that actually did mean and how it is misinterpreted by many of the people who hold on to that book so dearly and condemn those who use crystals and gems in a way that they don't quite understand.
It's really, I would love that. I would love to be on for that. And it's really kind of sad. It's kind of sad for me to think that the creator who gave us all this wonderfulness doesn't want us to connect with it and utilize the energy. Like, who told you that? But I heard that too. They told me that too. So
yeah, I think sometimes we forget everything has a purpose in its creation. Even the gnat that annoys us has a purpose in its creation. So to be able to dig something out of the ground that is energetic, has its own frequency, its own tone, to be able to take something like that and tap into it is more than natural.
And it's amazing. I want to show you something. The earth is amazing. Like, I've been real heavy on selenite. I thought I had it over here. Give me just a second. But I've been real heavy on selenite and pyrite.
Oh, really?
Selenite, pyrite, and black tourmaline. Clear quartz is my favorite. Clear quartz is my favorite because it's programmable, right? So
Yes.
we speak to the stone what we would like to accomplish or manifest or set an intention to strengthen with this. So the earth is amazing.
That's
yes. She has been
yes.
churning out some gorgeousness.
Beautiful. I keep a small piece of pyrite on the altar, and that's black tourmaline.
I keep this one by my door. So
yeah.
I used to keep it in my car, but I put the one in my car, made it smaller. But this one is by the door.
That is good. How much does that weigh about?
That is a good question. Where's my scale? I don't have my scale. Wink,
if I had to guess, at least about 4 pounds, maybe.
Yeah, it's about. I'll give it 4 or 5, something like that.
Okay.
It's solid. And I had some more stuff, but I send my children away. Like I give crystals to young people all the time. I got a group of young people. They call me mama, and I'm grateful. So I share with them. And I manifested this. I thought about it. I was like, I want a selenite Merkaba. And 2 weeks later, I walked in the shop, selenite Merkaba.
That is insane. So why don't you talked about manifesting that one. What was it about that one specifically, that mineral or that gem that you wanted to work with? What energies were you looking for in that?
I was looking for light energy. So selenite is it connects us to the celestial realm, and I was looking for something light, and it's it's solid, but it has like a luminosity to it. So I wanted that to do a meditation to make an effort to activate my Merkaba.
Okay. Well, sister, I am loving this. Let's talk a little bit more. So as you know, this is being filmed for the Healing Chambers. And so we were talking about communication. So, these crystals and gems, they communicate with us, right? So someone that is going through chronic health illnesses, chronic disease, chronic pain, have you seen in your practice that this is why some of the people are attracted to crystals and gems?
People want, I always say the human always wants to feel good, right? But we know that that's not the case. And when people seek out, they call it new age, but this is the oldest, it's older than time. It's older than time. Like these stones are older than time, and they hold something magical within. But for like health and healing benefits, a lot of people do come to me, and there are stones for your circulatory system, for your immune system, for your gallbladder, for your lymphatic system. There is a crystal that will help make it possible for you to get better, or at least enhance your desire to do so. But they definitely, and they activate something within us that might be dormant, or something that sometimes we lose ourselves. And when we lose ourselves, we lose sight of what our body is trying to tell us, right? So when we do hear it again, and we know that for me, let me talk about me. So I sometimes feel sluggish, and I'm getting a little older, so I have some swelling going on here and there. And I use certain stones. Like if I feel sluggish, then I get tiger's eye or carnelian, something to give me that jolt, that boost of energy that I need. And when I have the swelling, I use a clear quartz and I speak healing, or I use the amethyst and I speak healing. And for chakra work, I use, stones correlate color to color, but some stones work. A stone might be blue and it works better with your sacral chakra, so we don't want to get caught up in that, but there is definitely a healing that takes place. It's electromagnetic exchange. It's scientifically proven, so it's not hype. It's definitely something.
Well, you know what? It's interesting because, I did bring a little bit to share about some of those chakras and the stones that kind of correlate to them. And I thank you for sharing that piece about what's going on with you, because believe it or not, the swelling is something that a lot of the people that deal with us and come to us are dealing with. And again, since we don't diagnose or anything like that here, but we do offer our stories, and that's what you're doing. You're offering your story of amethyst and quartz and speaking to these things and having them to work with the edema or what have you going on. And I think one of the things that I would love to hear you talk about is time. And the reason I say time is because right now, this new age, as they call it, medicine, which we know is ancient healing traditions, we understand that you can't just pick up a stone and be well. So
Right.
it's not like popping a pill. So can you talk a little bit about how you explain to people who are new to this work that they would have to be able to learn to work with these energies to get a positive or a desired outcome?
Thank you. I sure would. Real quick though, back to circulation. Bloodstone. Bloodstone is really good for circulation. You can place it, and that's another one. You speak intention. You always want to speak intention to the stone. But time is the loop is what tricks us up. The loop is what tricks us up, and the desire for instant gratification. And that's not realistic. All things take time. And if you work with a stone, really spend the time to meditate with the stone, create the connection with your stones. Like there is an electromagnetic exchange that happens. So that's like aura to aura, something great is happening, but it has to be reciprocal, because you don't want to be a taker. And they are here to give. They'll give and give until they can't give anymore. But reciprocity makes sure that things work out evenly, and a reciprocal relationship with a crystal over time, you will definitely see change take place. When I first started wrapping crystals, I was also learning like the spiritual meanings and the healing, what part of the body that they heal with. I wanted to make pieces that go like for the heart chakra. I wanted to make something that would sit here, or a belt for the sacral chakra and the root chakra, things like that. But hold on, let me find my train of thought. Where was I? Okay, so placement. Okay, so yeah. So when I was wrapping, when I first started wrapping the stones and I was learning about the properties, it would be, say I was wrapping some obsidian for somebody. I would feel a level of protection while I was working with that stone. Of course, as I'm working with it, my mindset is that to set it with the necessary properties, right? Because just because a book tells us something doesn't mean that's all that you and that crystal may be able to do, may be able to work on. Like it's time out for faking like things aren't real when we know that it is, okay? Because we're not believing anymore. We're knowing, and knowing that the divine put everything here that we need to make it here should let you know that it's okay to work with what is here. And I make things accessible for the people. My prices aren't outrageous. I'm a giver. I share. I tell people how to use the stones. I tell people to be patient, because it's a process. It takes millions of years for the earth to birth some of these crystals. And you think you're just going to grab it, and your knee ain't going to creak no more. So yeah, but yes, time keeps us tricked up. Learn to.
You definitely said, so much in that. And, you talked about certain stones taking a very long time to do what they do. And quartz is one of them. Where I happen to be right now, I'm in the Shawanagon Mountains. And here we go digging for quartz all the time. We have quartz here, right in up the trail from where I am right now. And this particular piece came from Arizona, and it still has gold flecks and everything in it. And believe it or not, I have never allowed any water to touch this stone because I wanted the natural soil, the caliche that was in the soil. That's the soil they have, caliche. I wanted that to be in the stone because that keeps it. It reminds it of its natural place and where it's been, And you spoke of obsidian, so you speak in all of my favorite. And you said something about the obsidian that I would love for you to talk to, and that's about intention when it comes to working with the things that you do, because in essence, your work is part of a healing modality. So how do you make some of your more general things, and how do you do things when it comes to someone specifically?
If it's a custom, some people want crystals because they look nice, and that's cool. And if they want custom something made, then I make that happen. No two pieces are ever going to be the same anyway, because I work with my hands. But for healing, I do what's called a crystal consultation. So I get an understanding of what the person is trying to achieve. And then we look at some crystals that might work out in their favor, right? And then I create with the person in mind. I got a touch thing like Rogue from X-Men. So I don't touch everybody, but I have a touch thing. And when I do the consultation, if most of the time it's in person, then I can lay hands a little bit, and I can also feel what may be necessary for the client. And then I set the intention for the stone, for myself to be in that space, and I speak to the stones. I ask, first things first, you want to be wrapped today? Are you ready to be adorned today? Do you mind? Do you want to go? There's a vibration, and I can feel it. I can relate because I've been working with the stones for some time, with different stones for some time. But yeah, we want to be considerate. It's a tool, but it's alive. So anything that has a vibration, we want to show respect to that, right? So I verbally speak to, sometimes energetically speak to. And after I make a piece for somebody, I either wear it so that I can charge it, or I set it on. I got a self-love altar. I got a road opener altar, and I have my altar, my ancestral altar. But I'll choose an altar space and I'll charge it that way, or sit it in the sunlight, or lay it on the selenite. Like it depends on what the need is.
That's so interesting. Most jewelry makers that I've met that work with crystals and gems, they don't wear their jewelry, and I thought that was what was something different about your work. I've heard you speak of that before. So what is it that you said to charge it, but when you see these workers who go through this elaborate process of clearing, as they call it, the crystals and gems before they share them with their clients, is this something that you chose against, or you just has been going with because it's more natural for you?
As a healer, that's the objective. If I clear the stone and I give it to the client, they may not know what to do to charge it back up. They may not have done, especially if we do a consultation, that's the least I can do is juice it up, because my battery is, I'm up. And if I'm in the event that I'm not, I have an altar that will get it right, or I have the sun and the moon to work with. But the whole purpose for me is to create something. It's a reciprocal energy. I'm giving, and I'm giving of myself. Not only am I wrapping the stone, I'm giving of myself when you receive it, right? And that person in turn is going to pay me with currency or barter. I barter sometimes too. That person, but there will be a reciprocal exchange of energy to keep the cycle moving, to keep the process going. So yeah, if we clear them and give them to the client, what they going to do with them? They're going to have them.
I totally agree. I totally agree. I liken it, and this is what I've likened it to before, is just going into a store and buying I got an amethyst bracelet on. So an amethyst bracelet just from the store. You have no idea where it's been. You have no idea who made it. You have no idea how long it's been sitting there, who's touched it or anything like that. And so in an incident like that, I would tell a person, well, you might want to clear that because you don't know where it's been. But when you're working with someone like you, it would be beneficial to allow that healer to be able to imbue that stone with what it is you need and what it is you're seeking. So I love that about your work. It is it's just so personal. And I mean, for me, I don't wear a lot of jewelry. So the fact that I have someone hand make something for me, I know that that's an energy that I would want to carry, and I don't carry everybody.
Oh, that's right.
As you can imagine, we get bunches of gifts here at Mount Lisa Temple from, different people wanting to work with us, vendors and things like that. So, but everything, I don't just bring it in and use it. You know what I mean? I don't just bring it in and use it. I bring it in and I say, well, I appreciate this, and I'm glad that I was able to do something for you to make you want to reciprocate that energy. So that's great. And when we have our next workshop, I am definitely going to want you here to be able to help to work with this crystalline gem class. When I was looking at your work, oh my goodness, you should see the deers that are running across. Oh my goodness. You know what? Let me see if I can turn the camera around. Can you see them off in the distance?
Yes.
Oh, how beautiful. See, they came out to support us.
I love that for us.
But what I was going to say is that during these crystal and gem workshops, and when I was looking at your curriculum, let me just say, and for everybody who'll be watching this after, Gemini's information is going to be in the description below, along with her contact information to be able to go and support this sister's work, because she does so many things. And that's what I was going to say when I was looking at your curriculum vitae and went to your website. I said, we do so many of the same exact things. And most people would find that a problem. I find it fascinating because I am all about a person's journey towards and what they've been able to experience along their way. Because I know while it may be similar, it is not the same. So, you know what I mean? And I really love that you spoke to sitting with the gems and the stones and programming them, because that was something that I found by way of my massage therapist. That's how I started to find out about crystals and gems. First of all, I had never had a massage therapist, and I was going through a severe health crisis, and there was, as the doctor said, nothing for them to do. So a friend of mine suggested going to this healer, if you will, and I figured, well, what did I have to lose? Mm-hmm. And she started with a jasper stone. And I had no idea what this thing was. Now, I had always collected rocks and gems and all the stuff, and you see the names for them, but you had no real idea of what you had in your presence. Right. So I was one of those people who was just buying stuff, and I thought they were pretty, and I would sit them around, and and voila, you know what I mean? But it wasn't until I was working with that particular therapist that she talked to me about what you said, the chakras each having a stone that is designated to be able to help them. We talked about flow. This is communication month. Gemini season is coming to an end. I know you're sad, but what I will say is that the communication between the chakras is so important. And I don't think we talk about that enough either. One of the little things that I've made for myself over the years is a little chakra stick that I carry with me everywhere I go.
Oh, I love that.
I have them in all sizes, but this is the one I keep in my conveyance. So I keep it in there with me and it travels with me everywhere. But as you see, it has all of the colors of the chakras. It has a double terminated quartz at the front, and I used Hollywood. And that's something we don't talk about.
You better. Go ahead now.
We don't talk about the
Hollywood.
power of wood.
Yes.
The power of wood is important, you know. And so when we do that workshop, I want you here, ma'am. I want you here. So yes. I did want to ask you now, what kind of resources would you recommend for people who are getting to know more about crystals and gems and trying to learn more about connecting with them and using them in the many ways that they can be used?
So of course, we all have this, not we all, but a lot of us have this one.
Crystal Bible, swear by it.
It's a great one, but it's volume. So everything isn't going to be in here, but this is enough to get you started. And I've had it for so long. I got little sticky notes and pages folded, highlighters, but that's a good one. And I got this one, and this is a gem. This one I got at 5 and below.
Okay.
5 and below. And it tells, it shares like the shapes and what different shapes are for and what stones, pinks, like they're separated, they're color coded. So they tell you what chakra it works with. Where to find certain stones, like, you know, some stuff you can only get in this state or some things you can only get in this country. Oh yes, and the grid. This joint, so I was doing crystal grids, but I was taught that crystal grids work through intention. So as long as you know what the desired outcome is, then you can set up a grid any way you would like to set up a grid, right? That's what I was taught coming in. No. Crystal grids do work like that. You can set it up however you want to set it up, but there are certain things that you have to have in place in order for the energy to have the proper flow. So this book hit me to that. You gotta have a generator crystal, the crystal that's gonna power it's a grid, so it has to be powered.
Yes.
This 5 and below, crystal directly.
Okay.
It's a good one.
And all of the resources you have, you'll share with me, and I'll be able to put down below so everyone that is viewing can go back and take a look at. So yes. Do you have some more for us?
I do. I have, it's not in here where I am, but it's a book by Rasbin. Rasbin, what's the name of the book? I want to say there is an art called geomancy, right? So yes. As one who works with crystals and earth energy, I started looking at geomancy. So Rasbin has a book called Free Your Mind, and Your Mind Will Follow. That's a good one that it speaks about just like different, how to receive energy from different places, just on the earth, like ley lines and parallels and this, you know. And it's another one though, but that's not the one. It's called something 5G. Wait a second. Rasbin 5G book.
Technology in your hands.
Rocks of Ages. That's what it is.
Rocks of Ages.
Yes, Rocks of Ages. And he had another one. I think it was called 5G Wellness. Rocks of Ages and 5G Wellness by Rasbin.
Okay, we'll be sure to put all of those resources you've mentioned in the description below, and everyone will be able to take a look at it. I brought one of my old school favorites out. So I told you rocks and gems have been a part of my life since I was a little girl. I was a Girl Scout. So, you know, we spent a lot of time out in the woods, you know, like young people used to do back then.
Yes.
So collecting rocks and gems was something I always loved. And I had a lady who saw that I took interest in these things, and she slid me a little book. Little did I know that that was going to be my first book on witchcraft, but we're going to leave that alone. But what I'm talking about today, that book led me to one of my all-time favorites, which is Cunningham's book on crystal gem and metal magic. And this is where I found my luck, like copper of all kinds, silver of all kinds. You know, I have a silver elephant with pink tourmaline in it, you know, so it's just like I have blue sapphires on because it's communication time and I wanted to be able to hear you clearly. So, you know, these are things that we implement into our lives every day, whether we know it or not. You know, one of the most interesting things I think I found out when I started studying crystals and gems in the metaphysical aspect were about diamonds and why men give women diamonds when they are engaged. And I think I was so floored. So I'm reading this book, science book, and it's talking about how the crystal, the quartz crystal, is much like the diamond and is one of the most programmable stones that there is. So they said when a man is buying an engagement ring, he's imbuing it with all this love and all this thought and all these things. And the woman receives it, and all she is putting into it is like, I'm getting married. This is my ring. This is my love. All the love goes into it. So what you'll find is that this ring, they said the ring freezes those emotions. And every time you look at that ring, it brings up those memories because that's the connection, the energetic connection that it made, the communication that it has with your mind associated with that diamond. And if you notice, most women have the hardest time getting rid of their diamond.
That is
they will find any reason, they will throw it away first, but they will not just give it back because it's symbolic of being able to hold on to and keep that love and that memory alive. And so I always thought that was just fascinating.
Thank you for that. I did not even put them together. That's a good one. I tell people about the crystals in the cell phone. The crystals, there are crystals and magnets in here. So to amplify the magnetic, that's why you sit your phone down and it's in your hand. You turn it off and it's in your hand because we're drawn to it because that quartz is there to amplify the pull that it has on us.
Yes, you know, and the, like I was saying, the correlation between the different stones and the chakras, I found that really interesting just because so many people walk around, like you said, talking about being sluggish or feeling, you know, maybe headaches, throat aches, or all of these different things. You know, as every season has its correlation to a body part, so do these crystals and gems. So right now we're in Gemini season, even though we're moving towards Cancer, and I can feel the pull of it. The arms, the shoulders, these are the things, the lungs are the things affected during Gemini season. And when you know that these are the things that are being tapped during that time, it's nice to be able to have something to go to outside of just popping a pill or using some kind of inhaler or what have you.
It's so
I love that.
Some mullein.
I'll be putting a copy of this in the description for everyone. So this is something we use during our workshops here just to kind of give people an idea of some of the things you can do. But this Cunningham's encyclopedia changed the world.
You pulled out a classic. Yes.
I told you almost 30 years of doing this thing right here. Almost 30 years. But sister, I want you to tell us where people can find your work. What do you have coming up? I know you just did a big couple of events this weekend. So why don't you tell us what you have going up and where people can find you at? You are in Philadelphia, if I'm not mistaken. So people will be able to maybe do some in-person visits. So let us know where to find you and where to find your work.
So you can find my work. So it was Gemini Gems, and I don't want anybody to get mixed up. Gemini Gems was a page. It got hacked. And when it got hacked, I didn't know really like what I was going to do. I kind of shut down. I just started back wrapping crystals maybe 2 months ago. But my daughter said, bring everything together, Mom, and call it the Gemini effect. So I call it the Gemini RX, prescriptions for the human experience. So the Gemini RX, all one word, that's the Instagram, and the GeminiRx.org, that's the website. And as we are doing the rebranding, some things are still being worked on, but I know you can get a consultation. I'm pretty sure you can get a custom order. And I have what's called like dope vibe kits posted on the page: selenite, palo santo, black tourmaline, and sage in a bundle. So that's always a good thing to get. But the website.
So you have Florida water too.
I'm thinking I want to get some. I do have some Florida water up there, but I want to get someone to make the Florida water. I have a lady that makes my Florida water, and it is amazing. So I'm thinking about.
Sounds like a class to me.
Yeah. Oh yes.
Sounds like a
about
class
contracting that out. Yep. And I do I do a once a month event called the Quick Trip, and the Quick Trip is a safe space for psilocybin exploration. I, by trade and professional thing, or out here in the world, I'm a social worker, and I have a natural affinity for the human condition. So I'm all about healing the mind, the body, the soul, preventing karma. So the Quick Trip is my effort to assist the collective in not taking on the karma of substance abuse, right? The divine it's my understanding that you get psychedelics when it's time, and mushrooms have become trendy. So it's time. But at this time, let's learn what, how, who, when, where, mindset, proper setting, dosage, things like that. So we do a psilocybin cipher, and we bust it up a little bit about that, and we have organic conversations. And if people would like to experience the trip, then they can experience the trip and know that myself and my flight attendants are on hand to keep them safe. So I'm all over the place doing stuff. But
it's so interesting. We had a full-blown mushroom festival on Saturday in Rosendale, which is a couple of towns over, and all day long they showed films, educational films. They talked about microdosing and all these different things, and like you said, how this has become a trend, but it's not new. Right. There is nothing new under the sun. All we are doing is bringing back our ancestors' work to the present day, so we can do something with this condition we have going on, because it is a sad time.
Healing
but
is
it's
happening.
A beautiful time, though.
Yeah. What a time to be alive.
What a time to be alive.
Oh, my goodness.
Exactly. I agree. Well, sister, it has been such a pleasure having you. And again, for those who tried to tune in on Thursday night, please know when you get this much energy in one space, we gonna cut up and we gonna mess with some energetics. Yes. So just, we were talking about all these crystals and gems. Let me ask you, do you have a favorite?
Clear quartz. Clear quartz is my favorite. Clear quartz is the go-to in times of need. Clear quartz is the go-to if you can't get to what you need in that moment. Because it's programmable, we can express to it so many different things and clear it and cleanse it and come back. And it's like renewable energy all the time. And clear quartz is my favorite.
I tried to ask myself that question before I posed it to you. I always say I never ask a guest something that I wouldn't ask myself and be willing to.
I was going to ask you that.
But I'm an Aquarius, so I love amethyst. I have it in its raw form.
Oh, I love me a good.
I have a raw piece that I keep in my window, which I know for some people they say never keep a stone like that in the sun because it'll fade. I could tell you 20 years I've been keeping this in the sun. It has not faded. However, I do have a piece of turquoise that was given to me by an elder, and this has faded over the years. It was given to me initially to hang in my window because I was having some issues. And so they told me to hang it in my window. And they told me that when it washed away, that my problems would wash away too. And I have to say that, yeah.
That is great.
So
Watch him work.
But I can't, I'm sorry, I can't pick a favorite. I love them all. I love them all. They like Pokemon. You got to catch them all.
Gotta catch them all. Yes. I am
Well,
so grateful.
I do hope to have you back with us again. I thank you for your time spending it with us on this beautiful Monday. Meet outside. It looks like it want to storm, but it's okay because the sun was shining for us.
Yes.
And so I thank you for coming into the Healing Chambers. You are always welcome here. I do fully intend to call you on that offer to come up and do some things with us here, especially some of our vending events and some things we have coming up. Everybody, like I said, all of Gemini's information will be in the description below. You'll be able to reach out and talk to her. And let you know, get yourself some beautiful handmade jewelry by a multifaceted gem herself, Gemini.
You.
And I thank you
so
for
much.
coming to the Healing Chamber.
Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am. So thank you, everyone. I look forward to talking with you soon. Please join us here at the Healing Chamber on every Thursday night at 7 p.m. If you have any questions, please send them to mywalisatemple@gmail.com or at our Instagram DM at mywalisatemple1. Look forward to seeing you. Peace.